Everyone, let's get started. I'm sure more people will trickle in. So topic today is just, part of our series around securing the digital workspace. So how do we go about locking down things like Microsoft 365, deal with things like email phishing? And today we want to focus primarily around security awareness training. And I have Craig Taylor here from Cyberhoot. Maybe Craig, give a quick intro for the people who haven't met you yet.
Yeah, so Craig Taylor, co-founder of Cyberhoot, a 10-year-old company that operates a learning management platform that does phish testing and awareness training and all these other good things. Founded out of the necessity to create cyber literacy in your clients. So that's me in a nutshell. I started in cyber, incidentally, before there was a World Wide Web, so I'm pretty old, and I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I apologize if I cough or once or twice, but that's me.
That's all good. So everybody, we're recording the webinar. We'll send you the recording as per usual, and just let me know if you want to get in touch with Craig, talk about anything security awareness training. He's got a wealth of knowledge on this topic. As per usual, got to throw in a couple memes here. I know how painful it can be teaching your clients just anything, not even cybersecurity related, just teaching them how to use a computer. So I think, we want to focus on how can this be made easy? I think, just in general, and some of the business angle around security awareness training, because I think we've had a couple webinars, infographics go out on this topic, and a lot of them are product specific. They go pretty deep. Craig's here, so I definitely wanted to go a little bit technical on the how-tos of security awareness training, but we want to talk about some of the business challenges and how do you actually talk to your customers about this. So we got a couple good stats from you for you here. Microsoft is still touting that the basics of security hygiene are still blocking 99% of attacks. And this comes down to, we've talked about this before, MFA, a little bit of email security, a little bit of awareness training. It's really the fundamentals is still what is the recommendation for MSPs to work with their customers. Again, you don't have to run a full SOC today for all of your customers. You don't have to deploy Microsoft's 100 points of recommendations in every environment. We're just talking about the basics and how can we do this efficiently across all of our customers. So we've gone through this slide before. Almost every attack happens via a phishing email, and the social engineering is what tricks people into clicking the links. Once they're in, they get in because there's no MFA, and once they're in, they can do whatever the heck they want, and then we end up losing data, or the business ends up exposed. We want to focus on the social engineering aspect and the security awareness training angle of it. So a couple cool stats for you to talk to your customers about if you're going to be talking about awareness training is that 74% of breaches are tied back to the human factor. Now, you'd think 100% of the time people are involved, but very specifically just social engineering, people clicking links, people downloading, installing, going to places they shouldn't is still one of the number one ways that businesses are getting hacked. And I was kind of surprised at the factor of how much it was affecting younger generations. So kind of the 18 to 28-year-old, I think it was, are 5 times more likely to click on phishing links and do this stuff. I don't know if that's just more confidence, more familiarity and trust with digital everything, or a lack of training, right? So it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that, if you don't mind, Ali. When our studies go out and we've researched this problem, the small to medium-sized business is 15 times more likely to be attacked successfully than a company with under 11 employees or a company with more than 100 employees. And so the 11 to 100 is in the crosshairs of hackers, whether they're organized crime, nation states, you name it. They're being attacked most often, most successfully. And we'll get into, I think we get into that a little bit later, but that's another statistic that fits right into all of the clients that are on this call, all of you MSPs that are on this call. That's your client base, right? The majority of your clients are in that space.
Yep. And I know that our CEO went to a cybersecurity event, and he said there was a white hat hacker who did the keynote presentation who walked through how easy it is to breach a small medium business. And one of the reasons why they're going after the sub 100 and not super small, down to the one person business, is because they're less likely to collect a ransom or to collect funds from the small business. If it's a single owner operator, they can't ask themselves for a gift card or whatever scam someone's trying to run.
Right.
But something about that 10 to 100 business size range is they're able to get in, do ransomware, do some social engineering, and scam them out of $5,000 to $10,000. And it's quick. They're in, they're out, they get their $5,000 check, and they're on to the next business. So that's what makes it such a juicy target. The bigger organizations have, stronger security measures, and it's just a little bit harder to get that payday.
There's one other exception to that, Ali, and that is this. Public sector companies that carry cyber insurance that is publicly known, so think schools and cities, they're commonly targeted even though they're bigger than 100 employees, because they carry cyber insurance that includes ransomware provisions that say we'll pay the ransom. So they're targeted heavily as well. So be aware of that. Know your clients and know why they might be targeted. If they carry cyber insurance and that's public knowledge, they're very heavily targeted with ransomware and other types of business email compromise attacks, those kinds of things. Thanks.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's whatever the path to money is, the least resistance. That's really what they're trying to do. So focusing in on the security training angle today, there's a couple things we wanted to focus on. We definitely get this question during kind of our partner success onboarding calls and some of the go-to-market chats that we have with MSPs. And the ask is for, sure, good training videos and knowledge-based articles, things like that, like technically help me go to market with things so I can deliver the service. But let's talk about things like, how would I sell this kind of a service? What does the setup look like, and how can I minimize friction upfront? And then ongoing, when I'm supporting that service on an ongoing basis, how can I not, bleed my margins dry with all of the requests and tickets and problems that might come up delivering a security training service? And I've heard not horror stories, but just challenges from MSP business owners where it's like, great, I rolled out a new service and now I get 2 tickets a day asking questions, and I've just lost all the profitability of that new service. So how do we kind of set and forget and make money off of this? So when it comes to selling, the big question is a la carte, or do I bundle this in with my per user pricing? On the setup side, how can we have this just be fully automated, just get it up and running, get it rolled out, and not think about it? And then I want to talk about how to remove friction from ongoing support and just like day-to-day operational efficiency. So jumping into a little bit of the how to sell, we've talked about this before on previous webinars. I'd say the general trend that I'm hearing from most MSP business owners is trying to get away from anything that is break fix, time and materials, or individual service contracts, move everything to a fixed fee per user model. And so for us, and what we're seeing most MSP business owners do, is bundle security awareness training in that user security line item on their contracts. Of course, if you've just signed a brand new contract yesterday and you just increase someone's price of their contract by double, and you were able to migrate that contract, it's going to be up to you. Do you want to bake this in and go back and give it for free? Do I want to a la carte go back and sell it to that person next quarter or next time I'm talking to them? But I would say just in general, for the most part, I'm seeing it bundling it on a per user contract, putting it in the kind of user security or the Microsoft 365 cloud security angle. That's the number one avenue I'm seeing. And then a little bit of going back to break fix, time and materials, and just selling it direct a la carte to some customers. So curious to hear from people in the audience. Go ahead and shoot us a note. How do you go to market today with things like email security and security awareness training? Just curious if you're going a la carte or bundling that in with your service. And then Craig, I don't know if you have anything to add on how you're seeing some MSPs go to market with this.
So when an MSP comes to Cyberhoot and says, we want to provide security awareness training, phish testing, dark web monitoring to our clients, they sign up with us, and then see about a 20% uptick in, I'll pay for that. They'll go out to all their clients. We provide marketing materials as you do. And they'll say 20 to 25% of your clients will decide we're ready to pay for it because cyber insurance wants it or some audit we have wants it. Those 20 to 25% are in the product for 6 to 9 months. And the MSP looks at them and says, oh my God, these customers are our poster children for how we want all our customers to behave. They have fewer incidents. They put fewer calls to the help desk. They're happier. They're more, they give word of mouth advertising for us because they feel the value that they're getting from the MSP. And so that MSP will then morph into baking it into everything they do. They turn it into a requirement for every client that they sign. They have to have this user security piece that Augmentt's bringing to you today. And that actually lowers your cost of support because there's fewer incidents on your most expensive resources, right? When does a security incident happen? Friday at 5. Your most expensive engineer gets on the phone all weekend long, killing their work-life balance, burning them out. This is exactly what you don't want to do. So those people, the engineers in your MSP, become the biggest proponents of Augmentt's solution here because they don't want to be bothered at nights and weekends. And it becomes baked into every contract. Then you have a different problem. Then you'll have 10% that say, forget it, I'm not doing this. I will not train my users. I will not test them. I won't do any of this stuff. That's a different problem. Then you ask yourself, do we want to get rid of those clients? You have to fire some clients because they're too costly to you. On the other hand, do you want to write a risk acceptance for them to sign off that they're refusing the training and the governance? That's it in a nutshell. Sorry, I hope I don't belabor the point.
No, that makes perfect sense. I think generally that's, the trend is definitely 2 per user, 2 fixed fee to include all the critical, kind of those best practices we were talking about with Microsoft. So the basic security hygiene that will protect against 99% of the problems, and baking that into the contract, locking things down, and then again, going back to the customers that don't want it and getting it in writing that they didn't want it, just in case some sort of breach happens. So we kind of need that proof that we don't secure you because you didn't want said service. So I won't sit on this too long, but I think generally, for the Augmentt partners on the line, that going the other tool route, going the 10 to 20% acceptance, like Craig was talking about, that usually happens with an initial rollout of tools. We're definitely fans of the site license approach to essentially help you secure all your customers, because the goal is not to do security services for 1 or 2 of my clients. It's to migrate all of my clients into my security services offering. Because like Craig said, no more Friday 5 p.m. or 2 a.m. Overnight kind of emergencies where there's been a breach, they've lost all their data, I get fired because the customer did something dumb. And so just having that good security best practices in place is a good idea across the board. And this definitely applies to Cyberhoot as well. So let's talk setup for a bit. And like I said, Craig's here, so I did want to talk a little bit of technical on how to roll this out. When it comes to setup, the thing we love about Cyberhoot, we've talked about this before, is you essentially just grab a CSV list of names and emails. You can get that directly out of Augmentt in the configuration employees section. So if you take that CSV list, upload it into Cyberhoot, and then pick your frequency, you're basically done. That's as easy as the setup is. And I think that was Craig's goal working with MSPs on security awareness training, is taking the complexity of some of the other solutions and just basically 2 clicks to get started. No complex, mail forwarding, routing, domains to set up. You're literally just putting a list of emails and you're registering that user for a training drip frequency. And Craig, maybe speak to what you're seeing MSPs commonly do from, do I set up a bunch of videos to go out day 1? What kind of frequency looks good for the average, SMB they're dealing with?
So first of all, the 6 videos that we put out that you see in this list is the foundational 101 of cybersecurity. So the introductory video talks about hackers, their motivations, and their methods. And then it says you're going to learn about phishing and social engineering and password hygiene in the upcoming video. So this is what happens for every new employee in the system. They get this group of videos, starting with the introductory video and every other active video at their time of enrollment. So 6 months down the road, this starts in this frequency. The 6 videos you see here can all be rolled out all at once, daily, weekly, or monthly. Every video thereafter is automatically once a month. There's no flexibility to change that. We also send each employee a phishing simulation test every quarter. That's done without any administration on your part. So there's no allow listing, no injection, no X headers. Nothing is required from you from an administrative standpoint. That's why we affectionately internally call this platform ZAC, Zero Administration Cyberhoot, because we know that you don't have time. We know that you don't have the staff maybe to sit and feed and care and feed another platform in your product portfolio. So we really tried to look at where the friction is and remove it and create that automatically for you. And that's what we've got.
Perfect. So you know, I didn't want to, you know, sit on the setup angle a lot because I know MSPs get it. And let's talk a little bit about kind of day 2 service delivery and reducing some of the friction. So this to me is where the platform really sings. I think the automated rollout is, you know, effortless. And then, you know, the typical pain that comes with rolling out any new services, are people going to adopt it? Is there going to be problems rolling it out? A ton of tickets for me to support? And really, how much work is this thing going to be, even if it's easy to set up? And so did want to spend a bit of time on that. So a couple cool things here is there's no passwords. So like I said, CSV list of people's email addresses, they get the branded welcomes, and they're clicking and they're going straight to the portal, and they've already been assigned the videos or the phishing simulation, etc. And there's no password to get in. So right there, no passwords to reset, which is fantastic. And the progress tracking is not just for the user, that can also be forwarded to their manager. So it's a little bit gamified, a little bit self-policing, where the manager will do the knuckle wrapping for you, so you don't have to be chasing people down, which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
And then maybe we'll spend more time on the phishing training, because I think this is a big differentiator for Cyberhoot. So a lot of platforms are going to focus on tricking users into clicking a fake branded email that catches them, and then that goes to the security department that says, haha, 2 people in sales screwed up big and they need to go through mandatory training. This actually focuses on the training day 1 and lets the user retry until they complete and until they get trained. So pretty great from that angle. And maybe, Craig, I'll do a couple more slides, and then I know you're the expert on this, so I'll let you jump in. But from the kind of overview down into the weeds, you're walking someone through sample content, and they're having to pick for every single element, major element in the email, the sender, the title, the welcome, and it's teaching them the things to look out for. So actually scan the name to look for what's the sender email, and actually look at the, you know, stop and think about the content of the subject or the body, etc. And maybe I'll leave it there, because I know you could talk on that for hours, I'm sure, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I could go into more detail, but essentially any email has 7 indicators of whether you're attacked or not. And if you ask any employee at any of your clients, what do they use to spot phishing attacks, they'll give you 1 or 2 components. They'll say, oh, I check for spelling, or I check for the sender. If they greet me by name, it's a safe email. That's not true. Many hackers can do that, and they have other indicators that are clearly articulating an attack. What Cyberhoot does in partnership with Augmentt is we fill in the missing pieces of the puzzle. Imagine these 7 indicators in an email are pieces of a puzzle. And every day, all of your users or all of your clients' users are making decisions on whether to click on something based on 2 pieces of the puzzle. And there are 7 pieces. If we can create a crystal clear image for every employee of what to look at, they will have a much more efficient, secure, and powerful way of processing their email. They'll stop being anxious. And we know it works because folks like Augmentt tell us, and our other MSPs tell us, the emails they used to get were, John in support, is this a phishing attack? And those convert to, John, I found and deleted this phishing email, but I wanted you to know. So if those go away, the user is empowered and learned what they need to do and what they need to know to spot and avoid these phishing attacks. And that's a value that they attribute to the MSP. the first MSP to ever teach me how to spot phishing. I love you guys. Thanks for doing that.
Awesome. So I think maybe my last slide on the topic, I just wanted to sum that up. So again, on a day-to-day basis, delivering this service should be relatively painless. So we talked about actually good phishing training, not just deceptive emails that try to trick people into clicking. No passwords, user can keep trying. And one of my favorites is just the fact that you can set it up to send reminders to managers so that you don't have to be the one following up. So really, you're just showing up on a monthly, quarterly basis and saying, here's the status of the program and how it's rolling out. And the business owner is not looking at you to chase people down. They're looking at their own themselves or their department heads to go chase people down. So just fantastic from that perspective. I think it maximizes adoption, and I think it really just helps with the kind of overall story of selling it, setting it up, and supporting it. So maybe I'll jump to Q&A in just 2 seconds, but if you wanted to see the platform in action, go ahead, scan that QR code. I'll leave that up just for a second while I'm checking the Q&A. Oh, yeah, totally get it.
There's one more benefit that I'll share while we're getting some Q&A up, and that is this. If you are sending attack messages to your clients' inboxes, number one, you're at risk of ostracizing or creating a negative energy between you, the MSP, and the clients or the employees. They start to look at you as not saving them from trouble, but causing trouble. So it creates animosity when you do attack-based phishing, the traditional way from KnowBe4 and other clients out there, right? Other vendors. And that's a negative. But more important than that, the statistics or the metrics that you get are like this. You get 5 to 10% of the user population failed the test. And with KnowBe4, they're very smart. They put a tracker beacon so that they can tell if an employee opened the phishing email but did not click. So that's a pass as well. That gets you from 5 to 10% to 50% of your users. You know exactly what they did. They didn't fail the test. But what you cannot say is the other 50% did not fall victim to this because you don't know if they saw the email, got the email, ignored the email, deleted the email. You just don't know. That's a false negative confidence interval. With Cyberhoot, when you get to that quarterly business review or when you sit down with the leadership of the company, you have a metric that says 100% of all your employees took and passed that phishing test. That's a much better metric for something so foundational and fundamental to your cyber resiliency, to cyber literacy, that you need that statistic for every human being. The human firewall is where you get breached. And so knowing that every person has got a clear, crystal clear picture of phishing attacks is a incredible value add for you.
So that's it, everybody. Appreciate your time. I don't see any more questions, so we'll sign off. We'll send you the recording. And as Craig mentioned, this platform that we talked about today, that kind of set it and forget it, passwordless, phishing simulation training, everything, that takes this kind of automated, full customer rollout approach. And then Cyberhoot does have a premium offering we can definitely introduce you to as well, where you can customize the thing like crazy. It's a fantastic platform. So thanks again, everybody. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.